Good morning, folks. How y'all doing on this happy Wednesday? How y'all doing? It's your boy Mike D, aka DDE80, aka 13th Wonder of the World, aka Mike Deezy. Sorry about the noise out there, somebody bagging out. But how y'all doing on this Wednesday? Hump day, we gotta get it. For some of us, it's payday. And for some of us, it's just another day at the office. And I know exactly how you feel about that another day at the office stuff. Because I went through that same stuff last night. Excuse me for a minute. I'm back. I had to shut the door, a little noise, get away from a little racket. By the way, for all of you that listens to Point of View, I will recommend something for you guys. Go to AEW Timeline and watch the best of Sting. It's 8 hours. It's on YouTube. You will enjoy it. 8 hours of Sting's greatest, mostly all of his matches in AEW. From the time he was there until he retired last month. Man, I'm telling you, long arcing, very interesting. And I still have my special podcast I'm gonna do on the Stinger, the icon, the man called Sting. But if you want to just enjoy some good, clean, I don't know if it's clean all the way, but if you just want to enjoy Sting in action, go to AEW Timeline and you will see the 8 hour long arcing story of Sting. You can watch it all in one day, or you can watch it, 4 hours apiece. But it is compelling and it's very interesting to see. It's great to watch. I say it's a 10 out of 10 for those of you that want to, reminisce on the career of Sting in AEW. That is it right there. AEW's Timeline. And it's going to have a lot of them up there because they got one on Samoa Joe. They got one on Edge and Christian. They got one on Athena. They got one on, I think, the tag team division. But the best one is the one on Sting. So you guys watch that. See who all Sting had fought while he was in AEW for those 3-4 years. You'll enjoy it. I'm not going to talk about NXT and AEW tonight because I want to talk about that all tomorrow. What I want to talk about right now for a minute, and I'm not probably gonna be on here that long because I am fatigued and I do need to get a rest. Long night at the job, but thank God I made it home safe and sound. Thank God that you guys are listening to me, and I appreciate you very much. M Breezy, shout out to M Breezy, now United, the Point Place family, Bobby Reezy, my sister. I love all y'all. And I appreciate y'all for listening to me on the Point of View. Let me get that out the way. I don't never want to forget that because of guys like you, most of all our Lord and Savior, most of all the big man upstairs, but also to you that listen to me. I see the views on YouTube, but I don't get the comments. And I want people to comment and ask me questions. I want to know, ask me a question about what kind of sports podcast you want me guys to do. And the special requests are those that people actually ask me to talk about. Shout out to Fade Away because he's one of them that helps me a lot with these. And the reason, and then we'll get into the subject and the topic for a minute. What I want to talk about. The reason why I did the Michael Jordan Washington Wizards podcast that didn't take that long was because everybody knows Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls. Everybody knows everything about The Last Dance for what they watch. Even the beef between him and Scottie Pippen right now. Everybody knows that. But you notice that too many people do not talk about Jordan, the Wizard years. They're so mesmerized with the success that he had in Chicago, and good God Almighty, he had great success in Chicago because nobody couldn't really stop MJ in Chicago. He was the best. He was 6 for 6 in NBA Finals. He never had a game 7 in the NBA Finals. He had conference finals where he had game 7s against New York and Indy. Reggie Miller and them had the Bulls beat in game 7 of the Last Dance, and the Bulls just went through and took a turn on them. And here's why I say this. Could you imagine if it would have been Indiana and Utah? Who's gonna want to see that? Reggie versus Stockton and Malone, Jalen Rose and Byron Rose. It would have been interesting, but nobody wouldn't have wanted to watch that because they would think they were two boring teams, even though Reggie Miller is one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. Jalen Rose is was a great scorer in the NBA. So I don't. Chris Mullin as well, a Hall of Famer. He was on that team. You know, you had guys like Travis Best and the greatest shooters coaching the greatest shooter, another greatest shooter, and Larry Bird coaching was what it was. I mean, it was just absolutely compelling at that time. But everybody talks about Chicago Jordan. Nobody talked about Washington Jordan because they thought that when Jordan went to Washington, it was a failure. No, they may not have made the playoffs. It was a failure to everybody, but it was great to see Michael Jordan play basketball again for the third time in a different uniform. Now here's just imagine if he would have went back to Chicago for that third round. Jalen Rose was on that team, Marcus Fizer, and all those guys, Crawford, and all those guys that were on that Bulls team at the time that Jordan was with the Wizards. You think they couldn't have made no noise? They probably would have, but they probably would have been in the same boat that they were in right then and there, like Washington. But, you know, Jordan was still putting butts in seats, even though he was playing for the Wizards. He was still going out there hitting 50 at times. He was still getting 40. He was still getting 20 and 30. You know, he was going up against a different, era of guys like the T-Macs, the Vince Carters, the Kobe's, the Allen Iversons, the Tracy McGrady's, you know, the Dirk Nowitzki and these boys and Spreewell and those guys in New York and Allen Houston in New York, you know, and things like that. But that's why I did it, because I wanted people to see the other side of Michael Jordan. Even though it was a failure, he didn't get to the playoffs or whatever in those 2 years of Washington. He still had fun in the league. And that was I liked it floor Jordan a little more than I liked it Air Jordan, because he had to change his game up, because he was the shots. Oh my God. Jordan still had the shot. He still had the fade, and he still was quick. But, you know, he was going up against young guards, and Kobe Bryant and all those boys there. So, you know, it was what it was. But I want to stick to not wrestling, but let's talk about other sports. The Dodgers did win. The Astros lost. I think they lost to the Braves. And the Braves are my team. The Dodgers, Mookie Betts went 5 for 5 last night. In a thriller. The Cubs and the Diamondbacks had a game, and the Diamondbacks won the game. In the last inning, they won the game. I was happy that they won the game, because I know as much as Kendo liked the Cubs, I was liking what I saw. And that was what's up. I was happy for them to win the game. I was very happy for them to win the game. And I know Kendo didn't like that, but I was happy for the Diamondbacks to win that game over the Cubs. Man, let's talk about the NBA, man. And before I get on the Lakers and the Pelicans, I want to talk about the second game, the Kings and the Warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, last night I think the era of the Golden State Warriors and the Splash Brothers are over. Over. I think I told people this, the Warriors were not the same. They had a chance to make the playoffs and they did not make it. Let's go back over the things that happened with the Warriors this year. Number one, Draymond Green got suspended indefinitely. Cost him some games. He didn't play because of some bonehead moves he was doing by jumping on people and punching people and elbowing people and things like that. And the NBA had enough of that. So what happens? They indefinitely suspend him. He has a conversation with Joe Dumars, who's over the VP over basketball operations. He's one of them. And Adam Silver as well. And because of that, the Warriors were losing without Draymond Green. And I said this on a podcast a while back. I said they're not going to go anywhere without Draymond Green. They need Draymond Green. As good as a shooter as Steph and Klay is, they still need a mean horse like Draymond Green. And guess what? He didn't play for a certain amount of games. The season, they were able to come back. Andrew Wiggins, the situation with him, taking personal time off again. I don't know what's going on with him in his private home or whatever. But I pray to God that I hope everything goes fly with him. I like Andrew Wiggins. I even got an Andrew Wiggins Minnesota Timberwolves jersey because that's how much I like him. He's a NBA champion. He's in the mix as a champion. But here's the other thing. Steph Curry ended up getting injured. That was another thing that happened. His injury, even though he did not stay injured long, it still cost him some games. The Warriors were just not there this year. Everybody said it has something to do with age. Yeah, that's part of it. Injuries and they're older and things like that. Absolutely. But here's the other thing. Klay Thompson getting benched. That was another problem that the Warriors had this year. And I'm not saying that all of these problems are the reason why they got eliminated by the Sacramento Kings, but there are some distractions. Also, losing a member of their team, losing a member of their culture was also a reason the Warriors had took games off, because one of their guys in their front office had passed. And that was another reason why the Warriors had a lot of the Warriors they took for what they had to deal with this season. They were able to at least get to the play-in. Now let's talk about what I want to talk about the Warriors. Yeah, Charles, Chuck, Shaq, and Kenny and Ernie saw them fishing last night. Okay. The Warriors now have got to figure out this. Is Klay Thompson going to take a pay cut to still play in Golden State? Or is he going to take a pay to go play with the Lakers or with the 76ers? Man, let me tell you this right here, man. And I want people to understand this. Klay Thompson has had 2 ACL injuries. Yes, he has. Him along with Stewie, if I'm not mistaken, are the only 2 people that I know in history that came back from an ACL injury out for a whole season and won a championship the following year they came back. Now, let me say this, and I want people to understand this. I have nothing against Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is going to be a Hall of Famer. Klay Thompson should be on the top 80 whenever they do the top 80 players in the next 5 years, something like that. Not that long left. Not that long from now. I think it's 2026, 2027, one of them. Here's my deal with why I'm saying this about Klay Thompson. A change of scenery may rejuvenate him to once again be a little bit better than what he is in Golden State. You guys got to realize Klay Thompson's been in the league for 15 years, if I'm not mistaken. Either 10, he's been in the league for at least 12 years. I'll give him 12. But I think he's been in the league for at least 15, if I'm not mistaken, along with Steph Curry. I think all of them were in the same class. I can't remember, but I do remember this. I know that Klay Thompson is going to be looked at as a big piece for somebody's team. If I'm the LA Lakers, if I am Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, as soon as free agency, soon as the Lakers season is over with, whether we win the championship or not, which I'm hoping that we do, I get on the phone with the people of Golden State and I say, hey, how much do you want? How much do you guys want to cherish Klay Thompson? How much do you cherish Klay Thompson? Because I think he's an unrestricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. So the Warriors are going to try to throw a pay cut at him. Now, let's talk about what could happen in these odds. If Klay Thompson re-signs with Golden State, it's only going to be for like 2 years. He's not going to play with Golden State for 3 more years. He's probably going to play for at least 2. And after the second year, he's going to leave. This is why I say the Lakers need to make a move on this. If you guys don't get Donovan Mitchell, or if you guys don't get Zach LaVine, who's been hurt all season, you go with Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson can benefit from LeBron James, and I'll tell you why. Because Klay Thompson, when he is hot, he can shoot the ball. Last night, Klay Thompson had 0 points. Does that mean he's washed? No, he's not washed, not just yet. But he might be washed for Golden State, but he might not be washed for LA. You see what I'm saying? I think the Lakers need to make a play at Klay Thompson, man. I know his dad wants him to come to LA. I know that his brother plays for the Dodgers still, I think. I just want him to be happy because he's not happy with Golden State anymore. It's either going to be him or Draymond Green that's going to leave Golden State this season. I think they will try to keep Draymond, but I think they'll let Klay walk. And I'm just saying that's just my opinion, but I know you can tell in the interviews he's had, you can tell how the way he's been talking, you can tell how the way he's been getting up there. He's been talking like his time in Golden State's up. And he's had some of the great memories there with Golden State. He's won 4 championships. He's been on a heck of a ride with the Warriors. He's been on a 73-9 team that went to the finals but lost. He was on the court when he got hurt in Toronto, at Golden State, when they're playing Toronto for the championship back in 2019. He came back from a ACL when they won the championship 2 seasons ago against Boston. And I'm here to tell you, Klay Thompson's been an all-star. He's played in the Olympics. He's won gold medals. He knows how to play the game. He is one of the greatest shooters to ever play the game of basketball. There's one thing that you can't take away from an old veteran, that's a jump shot. Because if everything else goes from them, that jump shot's never going to leave them because you practice your shooting when you're just a great shooter in the game. And Klay Thompson is that. But I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I will tell you this. I don't think he's going to be in Golden State next year. It might shock me if he does, but I don't see it, guys. I just don't see Klay playing there anymore. I think the Splash Brothers have had their time, and I think it's time for them to just split ways from each other. And I know that Steph Curry loves Klay Thompson. I know that Klay loves Steph, but you're always going to be boys for life. But you guys gotta think about your basketball futures. You guys probably are not going to be in the league but past 5 years. Steph Curry's already 36, 35, 36 years old, something like that. Wardell is, and he's looking to do what LeBron James is doing and keep playing and playing and playing. And that's just the way it is. And it sucks that the Warriors will not have an out. And this is the second time they've been in the play and have gotten eliminated before they even had a chance to make the playoffs. Last year, on the strength, listen to me closely, on the strength of them winning home games last year, they were able to be a 6th seed in the playoffs. They were not doing that at first. This year they were able to win more on the road and lost at home. I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't know. But that's part of the problem right there, the woes I see of the Warriors. The Warriors are probably going to be all right next season. I don't know. We'll find that out as well. Also, the Warriors. Let's talk about other guys on the Warriors. Draymond Green is another hit. The question is, do he resign? Do he sign the extension or whatever they got going on with him? Or do he go walk with the Lakers? He wants to play with LeBron James at least one time. I've heard him say it. He loves LeBron. The question is this. Do the Lakers make a play for him? Everybody knows that Draymond Green is a dog defender. He's at 35 years old. Draymond Green can still defend. Draymond Green had 12 points last night in the game against the Kings. But, and I'll talk about the Kings in a minute and the Pelicans and the Lakers and things like that. But this is strictly NBA podcast right now, guys, on the point of view. The other reason I say this is because the Warriors at times this season look tired of having Draymond out there. No doubt about it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm telling you, the feeling that the fan and the feeling that the observer of the game saw. You cannot fake things that happen in NBA games unless you're good at it. Without a shadow of a doubt, the Warriors were getting ticked off with Draymond Green last year. You saw it in games, in a game that Steph Curry was playing, Draymond Green got ejected from the game with early in the first quarter. And Steph just shook his head. Is he tired of Draymond Green? That's his boy. But do you think he doesn't like when he does that? So that's another issue that the Warriors have got to deal with. Do you still want to keep that knucklehead on your team? Because he's a knucklehead at times. He's a modern day version of a Detroit Pistons Dennis Rodman. Not Charles Barkley, but Dennis Rodman. And I'll tell you why. Because Dennis Rodman won 5 championships. He won 3 with the Bulls, 2 with the Pistons. And when he was in Detroit, he was not doing all that. He was barely doing all that knucklehead stuff. He was doing knucklehead stuff, but he wasn't doing it as much as he was doing it when he was in Chicago with Jordan and Pippen. When he got there, he started becoming outlandish, wearing wind dresses. Oh my God. Painting his face, looking like a black version of Gold Dust, painting his nails and wrestling in WCW while he's supposed to be at a game, at practice in Chicago. Dennis Rodman was a fool, man, and I like Dennis Rodman. And the reason why I liked Dennis Rodman because I tried to play like him when I used to shoot basketball. I would always try to tip the ball of myself to get the rebound. I'd be the clean version of Dennis, and somebody else. I'm not gonna say no names, but he know who he is. He used to be called. They used to call him Dirty Dennis because he would always scratch the you know what at you every time he go for the rebound with those long fingernails. Shout out to him anyway. He fade away know who I'm talking about. But anyway, Draymond Green is a Dennis Rodman player. Dennis Rodman can't shoot the ball. He can shoot it, but he didn't shoot the ball like Draymond Green can shoot a three-pointer when he wants to. But that's the only difference. And I'll tell you this here because I want people to understand why I'm saying this. He's worth the trouble if he can contribute to you and help you get to a playoffs if I'm the Lakers. There's no other team I think there's a lot of teams I think would be interested in Draymond Green. They would love to have that toughness on their team, but I think the Lakers need him. And that's a toss-up because, you know what I'm saying, Klay Thompson could fit the bill for the shooting with the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? He could help out AD and LeBron. And they wouldn't even have to give up too many people. They wouldn't have to give up D-Lo. I think D-Lo signed an extension, so he's probably not going anywhere. And I'll talk about another guy on the team in a minute. But this is why I said what I said about them. Hopefully that they can get the job done and try to figure out, because I think they're going to bust that team up, man. I think the Splash Brothers are going to be split up. I think the heart and soul he could possibly be leaving. And also another guy that's on that team, Steph Curry. I'm not going to say anything about Steph Curry because Steph Curry is going to be right back in Golden State next year, practicing, getting his shots up. He's going to set a record next year for something. And I don't know what it is, but it's going to be something that he's going to do that's going to set a record for the league. So I'm not going to say anything about Steph Curry because I know what Steph Curry is going to do. Steph Curry is going to, reevaluate, spend time with his family, enjoy these playoffs, watching these guys and everything like that there. But last night, after the game was over with, I got a text from my boy, B.Ray. He said, man, it looks like Chris Paul's not going to win a championship. And when he said that, I knew right then and there, because I was not watching the game. I was watching the game a little bit, but I had started working, so I wasn't able to watch it. So with that being said, I saw that the Warriors got creamed by the Sacramento Kings. And CP3 went there to try to play off of Steph and play off of Klay. He was another one that had got injured as well. Do I think he's going to stay in Golden State? He may. Here's where I think he should go. Let me talk about there's a couple of teams that can use Chris Paul. If I was Chris Paul, I would go back to the Clippers. I know you and Russell Westbrook don't get along, or y'all guys don't see eyes at each other, but I would make that work if I'm trying to get Kawhi Leonard a third championship. If the Clippers do not win the championship this year, they have the biggest chance to do it because they have a four-head monster that can win games for them. But if Kawhi Leonard, and I want people to understand why I said this, and this is no dig on my boy B.Ray's team, but he knows what I'm saying is facts. If Kawhi Leonard is not available for these playoffs, and he's dealing with the knee injury and the injury that's been bothering him for the last 4 or 5 years, guess what's going to happen? Paul George, as good as he is, You guys got to remember, Paul George broke his leg in tryouts for the Olympics a few years ago. I think it was back in 2016 when they had the game, and he came down and he broke his leg. He like Gordon Hayward. His leg is not going to never be the same. But if Paul George, and every time, and this is another thing, and Bobby Reezy knows this, I love my boy, but this is why he gets disappointed, because PG-13 gets injured at the wrong time of the season, and that's the playoffs. James Harden, he's been playing great this year, being a third leg to the Clippers, which, you know, he's being a third leg because they're not expecting him to go for 25, 30 points. They're cool with him scoring 15 and getting, 10 assists, 7 assists a game, and maybe shoot a couple of threes. And Russell Westbrook, that's the other guy that they're looking to see what he can do to contribute. But I'm telling you guys, it all comes down to Kawhi Leonard. What is he going to do? Is he going to be available? Now, let me say this. The rest that they have right now is helping Kawhi Leonard because they don't have to worry about Luka and them until probably Saturday. But Luka and them put them through a test a few years ago in the playoffs. They were able to beat them, but they had to go through what they had to go through to get through them. You see what I'm saying? Luka and Kyrie are going to be amazing. They're going to be something. That series between them could possibly go 7. Series between Dallas and the Clippers, it's going to be a long series. It's going to go at least 6 or 7 games. I think, and I will give a prediction on that. If Kawhi Leonard's playing, Paul George is playing great, James Harden doing what he does, Russell Westbrook coming in off the bench doing what he does. Who else is out there? Who else? Bones and Terrence Mann and Zubac and Plumlee and all. If those boys come out there and do what they need to do, then the Clippers will win that series in 6. I think the Clippers will win it in 6, possibly 5. I don't know. I'm just talking. That's my prediction. But Dallas does have a chance. Don't be surprised if Dallas has a chance to win the series. But I don't think they will because it's going to be 2 against 4, man, if Kawhi Leonard's playing. And that's what's going to happen in that series. I think that's going to be an interesting series there when it happens. But back to Chris Paul. He could go back to the Clippers. He could go back to the Lakers. I mean, he could go back where he was supposed to have been traded to the Lakers a long time ago, but it didn't work. Chris Paul with the Lakers for a minimum. You know what that would do for him? That would rejuvenate him and get him back to being the CP3 of old. Just for one season. You don't need him to go out there and put up 25 points. Having him out there along with D'Lo and Austin Reeves, AR-15, man, let me tell you what would happen with it. Of course, other guys would probably not be there. Guys like, I don't know, Gabe Vincent may stay. Spencer Dinwiddie, he signed for the season. He's probably not going to be in LA next year. But we'll see what happens with him. He needs to he could possibly go to Golden State somewhere. But I'm just saying this, and that's just me talking about Spencer Dinwiddie because he didn't do nothing last night. He had no points, if I'm not mistaken. I know Gabe Vincent has been injured. I think he's there for 2 years along with Christian Wood. But I'm here to tell you guys, CP3, if they could get him on the minimum, which he's playing for right now, guess what, man? Absolutely. Absolutely, LA Lakers get Chris Paul or Philadelphia 76ers get him. He wouldn't get it. He wouldn't interfere with what Maxi's got going on and Embiid. He would be right there for him. You know that, and that's just me brainstorming with that situation. But I don't think he's going to be in Golden State next year. I just don't see it. I don't think he's going to be there. I think he's going to be heading either to LA, to the Lakers or the Clippers, or a team like that. He could go back to Phoenix because he could get the ride with Booker, Bill and Kevin Durant, because those guys are not going anywhere. So we'll see what happens with that, with the Golden State saga as it starts to unfold. The Kings, wow. Kings, remember what happened to them last year when they played the Warriors. The Warriors beat them on the road in the game 7 in the first round. At that time, Darren Fox and them were still trying to learn how to compete on a high level, which is the playoffs. This year, they slid all the way down to the play-in, but they remembered what happened when they played the Warriors last year. See, that was not at the back of their mind. And they were able to do what they did. Keegan Murray had a great game, 8 3-pointers. He was just lighting them up, man. Whoever put him on a spreadsheet, they didn't expect him to go over eight threes. I'm quite sure they thought he was just going to go over 2 or 3, but he went for 8. Keegan Murray made a lot of people some money last night on DraftKings and on FanDuel and BetGM and Bet365 and ESPN Bet and Caesars. He made people some money last night. And I'm telling you guys right now, the Kings are going to go up against a team. And now I'm going to talk about my boys, the Lakers. The Lakers looked like they were going to lose this game last night. But the great of LeBron James and D'Angelo Russell, man, D'Lo Russell is proving to everybody, hey, this is why I re-signed with the Lakers. You guys tried to trade me in the season to try to get somebody else, but as you saw, you guys needed me. That's exactly what happened. D'Lo was great. AD was great. Of course, Reeves was great. You already know my boy LeBron was great. So, the Lakers are trying to prove to everybody, hey, we're not scared of going up against Denver. We want Denver. They get Denver in the first round. We get Denver in the first round. Let me say this. If we lose this series in 6, at least we faced our fears of Denver. But if we play them 7 and beat them, then the Lakers have an opportunity to once again go for a championship. Can the Giant is not everybody else, because they can beat everybody else. They have problems with the Kings. Don't get me wrong. They have a problem with the Kings because Malik Monk is a stud. And I wish we would have kept him in LA. But man, I'm telling you, the Denver Nuggets are a different story. They are a complete team. Even when Jamal Murray is not playing, they are a complete team because there's nobody that can stop Joker. Joker can shoot from outside. He can rebound the ball. He's just one of a European player that you really can't control, man. And that's a problem. And we've got guys there that could, Hayes could possibly do his thing, and Rui try to push him out a little bit, AD and LeBron. But, it's just going to be difficult. I'm predicting, and I know this is going to be the Lakers in 7. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm sticking with my boys. Lakers in 7. Lakers in 7. Zion got hurt in the game last night. I'm hoping, and it was a great game, folks. Don't get me wrong. It was a great game. The game was played down to the bare minimum, and the Lakers were just the better team. Man, I'm here to tell you, if Zion Williamson is hurt and cannot play against those Kings, the Pelican season is going to be over with. And I know that Fadeaway does not want that for his boys. But I'm telling you, this is what it is, man. They have got to figure out a way to stop Sabonis and Fox, because those are going to be the guys. And Keegan Murray now, because he's hitting threes. You got to figure out a way to stop the Kings. I'm hoping that the Pelicans can beat them and have a shot in the playoffs, because they can match up, and they match up very well against OKC. The Pelicans do. The Pelicans, they're a great rival against OKC. But man, OKC is a young team. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this one time. If the Kings get them, or if the Pelicans get them, don't be surprised if the Thunder lose in the first round, man. Just don't be surprised. They don't have enough experience yet, but I think they can make it out of the first round. I think the second round is where they're going to have their problems at. Because in that second round, you're probably going to be matched up against either the Clippers or, the Suns or somebody like that, or the Timberwolves. And that's another rivalry game, another playoff game, the Suns and the T-Wolves. And I'll talk about that, but I'll give you one little thing. Who's going to stop Kevin Durant? Who on Minnesota is going to stop Kevin Durant? Because just like Minnesota has no stop for Kevin Durant, Phoenix is not going to have no stop for the Ant-Man. Karl-Anthony Towns as well. So I don't know. That's a toss-up. And when it gets closer to the weekend, I'll talk about that as well. But man, compelling NBA going on right now. Tonight, the other play-ins. Fun matchup between Atlanta and Chicago. I want to see that. I'm going to watch that. I hope I'll be up for it. I know that AEW Dynamite comes on tonight. I'll probably be watching both at the same time. Things like that. Then you got Philly and you got Miami. And that's a toss-up because Joel Embiid and them can possibly win that game. And also, let's say this here. The Miami Heat, you can't never count them out. Tyler Hero is back. So they can pull out the Cinderella story. This is all just NBA April Madness, not March Madness, but April Madness. Like NCAA tournament. This is what it is. So we'll see what happens with that as well. Tonight I'm thinking if Trae Young's not playing, I'm thinking Chicago will probably beat Atlanta. I think Atlanta will be eliminated tonight, and then they're going to have to figure out, is Trae Young going to re-sign with them, or is he going to go to San Antonio like a lot of people think he's going to go, or is he going to go to another team? He could fit the bill for the Lakers, but I don't think the Lakers have that type of money to sign him with. Things like that. Very interesting, and I think with the 7 and 8, I think Miami gets another crack at it. I think they lose tonight. I think Philly goes on to play Cleveland or New York in the first round. If that happens, that's going to be an interesting series with Joel Embiid going up against Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson does need to be in the MVP talk, along with Luka, along with Jason Tatum, Ant-Man, and SGA. And let me say this also. People don't want to talk about this, but I think LeBron James should be in that talk as well. LeBron James should be in the MVP candidate talk because LeBron James played 71 games. He did not miss too many games this year. He played 71. And for a 39-year-old player to still be out there playing almost close to 80 games a season, that's the grace of God. That's very remarkable. He spends a lot of money on his body, and that's why he plays. And he's still nursing an ankle injury. So, that it is what it is with LeBron. So we'll see what happens. And Anthony Davis has played great this year. He hasn't missed too many games. So with that being said, let's just find out what happens tonight in the compelling story of the NBA play-in. Yo, I've been on for a while. I said I was going to be off shortly, but I've been on for a while talking about basketball. Just want you all to enjoy tonight. Enjoy AEW Dynamite. Enjoy the NBA play-in games, the Major League Baseball games, hockey, whatever your dose of sports is. I'm here for it. God bless you. God keep you. I love you. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace out.